So do you know what the known knowns, the known unknowns, the unknown knowns, and the unknown unknowns are? Stick around for more threat classification.
You're watching IT Pro TV.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us for more of the CySA Plus. And joining us in the studios to help with threat classification is Dan Lowry. All right, that was a mouthful when we started. Help us out here.
Yeah, well, I'm going to help you out because I've written down on your notes a quote that I would like you to read to the good folks out there, if you would be so kind.
Absolutely. There are things that we know. There are unknown unknowns. That is to say that there are things that we know that we don't know. But there are also unknown unknowns. And there are things that we do not know that we don't know. Wow. Holy cow. I don't know if I can
I'm
say that.
glad we cleared that up.
Okay, good. All right. This was a short episode.
Yeah, it was.
Enjoy your exam.
So that was a quote from Donald Rumsfeld when he was talking about WMDs back in the day, a long time ago. And people thought that was an interesting conversation. And it has been the picture of trying to have this threat classification conversation since that has happened. And what is going on there? Because your head is probably just swimming with, okay, known knowns, that kind of makes sense. And known unknowns, okay. And then unknown knowns, how does that, wait, hold on. What does all this mean? So let's just walk through it a little bit. And if I elucidate on it, maybe you will have the veil removed from your eyes and you will see. That's the whole purpose of this anyway. And it's good information for us to get when it comes to the exam. So let's start with the basics. What is a known and what is an unknown? A known is something that we know, right? But an unknown is something that we don't know. Fair enough, right? But when you say known knowns and known unknowns, this is language that we typically engage into to try to get more clarity to the conversation at large. Let's jump into my computer. There is a great chart for this that will help us. And don't worry, again, this will be in the learner resources as a link available to you to go check out. This is a great breakdown of what it is we're just getting ready to talk about. So just another resource for you there. And here we just have this chart. And basically it's telling us we have known knowns, things we are aware of and that we understand. Known unknowns, things we are aware of but we don't understand. Unknown knowns are things that we understand but are not aware of. And then unknown unknowns, the things we are neither aware of nor do we understand them. And I'm sure, again, this is cleared up. This will be a bit of a brain boggler, so it's going to take you a minute. If you've never encountered this before, it can take just a bit of brain power to try to figure out exactly what's going on with each of these conversations. Let's start off with the known knowns. This should be one of the more easy lifts for us to pick up. I know this is an issue, or I know about this thing, and I know what to do about it, right? I know everything there is to know about it, at least enough that I can move forward. I like to use an example of something like a known vulnerability in like an operating system, say Microsoft. Let's go MS17-010, the Eternal Blue. This is a known entity. We know what it is. We know that Microsoft operating systems of X, Y, and Z ilk have an issue with this. And I know what to do about it. This is my known known. I know what it is and I understand it. Okay? I understand that I need to apply a patch for those operating systems, and that takes care of the problem. The great thing about known knowns is just about anybody that's in the know would be able to handle that and move forward on it for remediation or whatever it is that you're trying to do. So known knowns, things we know about and things we understand at the same time. Cool? Moving on. Known unknowns. These are things that we are aware of but maybe don't understand. Now, an example of this is it's like secure coding. We know that we should be engaged in secure coding, but I don't understand how to do that. So it is known that I have to engage in secure coding, but since I don't know how to do it, I don't understand it. So that's what we're talking about when you say a known unknown.
So it sounds like conceptually you know what to do, but as far as practical application, maybe there's a gap there.
Yeah, that's exactly what we could be talking about right here. Now, of course, this is going to change depending on your environment, your organization, but those are the basic ideas behind what we're talking about. So in that example of secure coding, I know what it is. I know I should be doing it. If I need to stop SQL injections, I need to use parameterized statements and engage in content filtering, sanitizing user input. I'm not really sure on how to do that. So I need to figure that out. Okay, moving on. This gets us to the unknown knowns, probably the most difficult one of the bunch. And my example that I'm going to use is going to come from my practical life because this is a difficult concept to convey. So if you don't get it straight out of the gate, don't worry. It takes a minute to kind of get ramped up on this. I even had to give you a good example, had to kind of search the old noodle. And one day I was working as top level help desk and infrastructure, doing systems administration. So part of my day was helping the help desk when they got stuck. And the help desk manager calls me and says, we're really just not able to fix this user's printer. It's not working. So I started going through the probable things that could be to fix his printer. And as they explained to me more and more of information of what was going on, I said, it's the print driver. They need to install the print driver. They don't have a print driver installed. And the help desk manager said, user's done that already. I said, I don't think they have. Because if they did, this would be working. Well, they said they did. I said, I understand. They said that they did that. But I'm telling you, I know what the problem is. And the problem is that print driver is either corrupted or didn't install right. I don't want to tell them that they're a liar, but the print driver will fix this problem. And they got very upset with me because they thought that they had already done that. I had an unknown known. I knew what the problem was. I just didn't know how I knew that. I just knew that that was the issue. Okay. So ultimately, guess what? That was the problem. They had to install the driver. They either installed the wrong one or they didn't do it at all and lied to the help desk and said that they did, but they didn't. But I knew what was going to fix it. But they didn't know that I was going to know that. They didn't know how I was going to know that. So when it comes to unknown knowns, a lot of times it boils down to that there are resources and knowledge inside of your organization that you don't even know exists, or how to get to it. How do I apply that knowledge? How do I access that knowledge? It's an unknown known. That's what does mean. I understand that can be a bit difficult to grasp. It's going to be the hardest concept is unknown knowns, but dig into that and I guarantee it should clarify for you as you work at it even more. And that brings us, of course, to the unknown unknowns of the game here. What are unknown unknowns? Well, it's we don't know what we don't know kind of idea. Now, we want to reduce these unknown unknowns as much as possible. And we're going to engage in all of looking and classifying with the others so that we can do that. Ultimately, we want most of the stuff, the threats that we're going to be engaged with that are active toward our organization. We want as many of those to be in the known knowns as possible. And the more we try to learn and understand and figure out and classify, the more we will move things from one column to the other. And hopefully that's what happens. The unknown knowns are the hardest because we just don't know that there's a bug in our software. No one knows it, not even us. One day it will become a known, and maybe it's an unknown known, maybe it's a known unknown, right? I know, it's a brain twister. Wes is over. I think I can see the sweat beating off his brow.
Yeah.
This will not compute.
That's absolutely it. What I'm thinking of is one of the reasons companies put out things like bug bounties. They don't know what they don't know,
Exactly.
and they've got a lot of intelligent people out there that maybe aren't directly working for them, and they want to know what they don't know they don't know.
That's exactly right. Bug bounty is a great example of trying to figure that stuff out and a very effective way in which to do so.
Now, I will tell you, Dan, one of the things I know, bug bounties are something that companies employ to find out those wait a second, let's try it again. Yeah. Unknown unknowns, right? What they don't know. But that's when the people that are doing the bug bounties are sitting on the, let's say, white hat side of the track. What happens if a company, is there a condition that might lead a company to maybe exploit? They don't know what they don't know, and people aren't telling them.
That could definitely happen. And even if they were aware of this, I think what Wes is trying to get at is 0 days. Right?
Yeah.
O days.
Okay.
Right? These are things that either the company is not aware of. And what's funny is if you look up the definition of a 0 day, you're going to get a bit of a spectrum of what an O day is, or a 0 day vulnerability. Basically what it boils down to, I'll try to encompass just about as much as I've been exposed to. Basically what it means is that either the company is unaware that there is a vulnerability and therefore there is no patch for it, or there's nothing being done, or they are aware of it, but they still have no patch for it. It's continually being a vulnerability. Both those definitions, I would believe, would fall under the 0-day vulnerability definition, or the rubric, as it were. We love to use the word rubric around here. So with that in mind, what do we do about it? Well, A, we got to try to get those unknown unknowns into that known pile. We go to something like bug bounties. When a bug hunter finds a vulnerability in a website or in a piece of software, they have technically found a 0-day. The company had no idea it was there. That's why they were engaged in bug bounties. Maybe it's a duplicate, but let's assume that didn't happen. The researcher informs the company, I have found a bug. Here it is. Here's my write-up for how to manipulate and exploit that bug so that you can recreate it and verify that it's actually true. Company goes in, they do that very thing. Oh yeah, this looks bad. Now it becomes a known unknown. They know that that's a problem, but now we got to figure out what to do about it, right? But at that point, a 0-day is what that is. There's no patch for it at that moment in time. And up until the time where the company releases, here is what we're doing to mitigate that problem, it is a 0-day.
So 0 days, and this helps me out as well, Dan, and I wasn't aware of this, and maybe you weren't out there. So a 0-day, if I put it in my pocket, it's a 0-day, and I don't tell anybody. If I don't put it in my pocket and I post it to the companies wherever they're collecting that information, it's still a 0-day.
Still a 0-day.
Interesting.
Up until the company has some sort of remediation for it, it's going to be considered a 0-day.
Because I've always thought of it as always a malicious intent, but it makes sense that if you don't know and it's a bug bounty, it's still 0-day. The system is still potentially open to attack, regardless of what side of the tracks the hacker, and I don't mean that in a bad term, true term, hacker sits on.
I think it basically comes out to the idea that it has been 0 days since the fix has been released.
Sure, makes sense.
There is no fix, right? Then it becomes N days since the fix has been released.
Interesting.
Right? I do have a website for us. If you're looking for 0 days and kind of like, what does that look like practically? Portswigger, the good folks that make Burp Suite, they have a blog here for us that have the latest 0-day attacks and exploits. So you can put this in your bookmarks. It could be very helpful. I'll add that link to the learner resources for this episode. And like today, March 24th, 2020, guess what? There's an O-day for Microsoft. They call it No Patch Tuesday. And you can click on that link. It'll take you to the information about that. If you're running a Microsoft shop, you probably need to be aware of this so that this goes from the unknown unknowns into the known unknown pile until you've got it understood, figured out, and then you can have it in your known known pile, which is exactly what you want. So there you go. Read all about it if you are a Microsoft shop. I am not, thank goodness, not anymore anyway. I don't have to worry about this, or maybe I do. Maybe I'm working or I've partnered with a company that is a Microsoft shop, and now they have some of my data in their systems. You see, it's a very much of a culture and an environment that can spread out much farther than my own walls and my own systems. So you just have to be aware of that. And this is what it takes to do effective threat modeling. I think as far as the 0-day, I think we've covered that. Hopefully you get the idea that it's just not something that we have a patch for yet and can be exploited in the wild with impunity because nothing has been available yet.
So, sometimes we have to worry about, attackers setting up shop and sticking around for a while. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, this is typically what we call an advanced persistent threat, or APT. It is a common thorn in the paw of many a security analyst out there. You will not be excluded from that group one day, if not already are engaged in that. So what do we mean by APT? These are either individuals or groups, typically groups that have advanced skill sets for being able to compromise and gain persistence into a targeted organization. Well, this is not your willy-nilly hacker out there looking for the low-hanging fruit, not typically anyway, right? These are people with mad skills that have targeted a specific organization, and they can take as much time and they are patient until they find the way into that system. Once they do, they're able to hide and obfuscate and stick around, maintain persistence within there, hence the advanced persistent threat, for as long as they want. They have the ability to regain access. They don't need to re-exploit a machine once it's found. They can withstand reboots if that occurs. Don't have to, oh, well, now I got to try to find another avenue of ingress into the system. This is what we're talking about. And this is such a problem that we actually have labeled APT groups, and they understanding which groups attack which areas of business, organization, or government, or whatever, can be extremely helpful as you work as a security analyst, as you're doing your threat modeling, as you're trying to look at threat intelligence. So it'd be a good idea for us to look at some of those just to get an idea practically of what that seems to be.
So this isn't a Johnny come lately. If your name's Johnny out there, I apologize. But, you know, somebody that's just copying and pasting a little code, Dan, seems like these are, you say advanced, seems like these are very, very well funded. They have a lot of intelligence behind them. And again, they're typically, you know, backed by a lot of resources.
Yes. Yeah. Even if they don't have resources of hardware and money, they do have time and expertise on their side. And there's usually a group of them with all those same attributes. So they kind of conglomerate together to become an APT group. So let's go to jump into my computer here. I brought up FireEye. And FireEye has this current threats apt-group.html page here. And it kind of starts talking about these different APT groups that you might encounter, depending on what avenue you are in business or organizationally. So here's APT 139. Suspected attribution is for Iran. Targeted sectors, their scope is global, but their activities are concentrated in the Middle East. So it's kind of giving you where globally they try to operate. And with addition to targeting of travel industries and telecommunications. So if you're in one of those businesses, you probably need to threat model based off of something like APT39. How do they typically gain access to systems? What type of malware do they typically use? How do they gain and maintain persistence? Are they using C2? Is it custom? Is it off the shelf? What are they doing? Understanding that APT39 is going to be actively attempting some sort of exploitation against your market is something that will be helpful for you to know. So understanding these APT groups can be super helpful in that activity. We got APT34, another Iranian group. APT33, another Iranian group. They go after aerospace and energy. So if you're Northrop Grumman or Lockheed Martin, probably got to look out for those guys. APT41 is from China. I do love that they give these really great graphics for them. I love visual stuff, and that helps me like go, oh yeah, that's APT41. Those sons of guns are at it again. So there you go. And there's a whole list of them. We're not going to go through all of them, but know that this is there. Again, I add this as a learner resource for you. You can check this site out. Look through all the different APTs, how they operate, what's their modus operandi or MOs, so that you can better understand what APTs do. And the definition starts to take on a real life and understanding for you if you see how they're operating. So I like to give that kind of resource for you. But Wes, that's what we've got for today when it comes to threat classifications. Hopefully we've covered everything we need, especially for the exam.
Absolutely, and we've covered some really good concepts here, and I know it's been a lot of known, unknown, known. Remember, we've talked about known threats, we've talked about unknown threats, known knowns, known unknowns, unknown knowns, and unknown unknowns. I almost got it all the way. And 0 Day definitely falls under that, and remember APTs. Keep in mind that we've got more coming up in the CySA Plus show, but it's going to take you joining us, so we'll see you there.
Thank you for watching IT Pro TV.